Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Branding with Vex. I am so excited to talk about this. Maybe it's because I feel like I fall into this generation myself. I'm not really positive if I do or not because I feel like the rules are always changing as to like which generation you fall in. But today we're breaking down why many of us millennials seem less worried about being cringy compared to previous generations. For some reason, we kind of just don't care as much. And I think there's a lot that goes into that. As we break down the psychology of branding and business, I think it's important to think about this if you're looking to grow your own personal brand. I will say it's really important to embrace the cringiness and to put yourself out there if you are looking to grow your own personal brand. And today we're going to share why we tend to care less and how that can actually help you with your strategy moving forward. Let's just dive right in. All right, to kick this off, we're talking about authenticity over perfection. Millennials grew up during the rise of social media, so we actually didn't have it as long as many of the younger generations did. I don't think Instagram actually got big until I was about like a senior in high school, and even then it really wasn't that popular. You would kind of post then ghost, you would use the filters that were preset on the platform already, and that was kind of it. There wasn't really too much stress with the app. You didn't use hashtags, you weren't, super active in terms of growing your profile, which honestly, kick yourself later on, right? Because if I had done a lot of this strategy earlier, I would have been so much further along. But this is really where the polished perfection quickly gave way to that real, raw, and perfectly perfect content. We were kind of just sharing what we wanted to share, right? So we really valued being genuine more than looking flawless, even if that means occasionally being cringy. We kind of just put ourselves out there already, so now it just seems a little bit more natural to us. Next, I would bring up the irony and self-awareness culture. So millennials really embraced irony and self-deprecating humor, which is good maybe or not, but it's kind of like owning your own awkwardness and your own quirkiness and just saying like, yeah, I'm cringe for doing this, but why not? It's honestly become like a badge of honor, not shame. So cringe is often performed very deliberately for millennials. We tend to make fun of ourselves in our social media content, and maybe this is a way to diffuse judgment, maybe not, but I think that also helps with why we are just actively more cringy online, because we're like, who cares? Now, we also noticed that the meme era normalized embarrassment. So while memes and viral videos highlighted and acknowledged really awkward moments and silly things, embarrassing falls, quirky behavior, we did a lot of weird things that like, I don't feel like generations do now. Like when I look at a lot of the younger generations with how like with it they are with doing their hair and makeup, and how they didn't do these like silly things like these plank challenges and all these weird things that kind of came up, and they didn't edit their photos on Picnic and film these weird videos of themselves doing dance routines. Well, I guess they kind of do that, but it was a little bit different back in the day. We were doing like silly things, and this kind of aspect of being cringy was just kind of part of our life, and then we just turned it into a digital life. So everyone's cringe moments became really relatable, and it made it a lot less isolating for our generation. So when I see these accounts that are posting things about like nostalgia or 90s vibes or 2000s vibes, it is connecting a lot of us and a lot of our generation. Now, social media is a great practice space. So platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube give instant feedback and a space for you to really experiment with your content. The more you try, the more you risk looking cringy, can actually help you with the more you grow and connect with your audience. I think this is something that's important if you're looking to grow your own personal brand, and you can really use social media as a practice space. You don't need to go through and delete all your old photos on Instagram. I see this from so many younger generations. I think it's totally fine if you want to go do that, but I feel like that's done because they're embarrassed about whatever picture, or maybe it's not cool enough anymore. They don't look like a celebrity, or I don't really know what it is. But our generation kind of just posted and didn't really care. And I think that we've carried that on with us. And I feel like the younger generations, if it doesn't get a lot of views or it doesn't get a lot of likes, they'll just like delete it and then forget about the content and, not share it. And I feel like with our generation, it's a lot more trial and error and see what sticks. And you also kind of don't care about what happens, because like, who cares? Like, who cares what someone from third grade thinks? Not us, not our generation. I'm sure there's plenty of people that do, but a lot of us just don't really care what the other people think about us. So that I think carries on with the millennial culture as well. And I also would say that millennials reacted against the Gen X and boomers emphasis on serious restraint, staying cool, and actually kind of rebelled against that. So we've opted to be open, goofy, and cringy as a little bit of a form of rebellion against like those old school social rules. It's kind of just funny to be authentic and to put yourself out there and to just not really care. And I think there's a lot that can go into the psychology of this, but I do think it's important if you're looking to grow your own personal brand, and maybe you can start to adapt this strategy of the millennials embracing the cringe. Whether you're a millennial or not, there's definitely a target demographic that is. And if you're looking to appeal to that audience, it might be a good time to start posting that cringy content. I will give this example, and I am like the biggest fan of MCO, let me tell you, but MCO has a really great social media profile. They're on top of like every single trend that happens. They post content that is funny, that's witty, that's cringy, that's silly, and it gets a lot of reviews and a lot of engagement because people relate to it. They find it funny. They don't feel like there's a lot of stress behind the content that they're sharing. So as you're looking into developing your strategy for your business, how can you maybe create some content that's a little cringy? How can you put yourself out there a little bit more if you're looking to grow your personal brand? And how can you choose to be open, goofy, silly? Because that's what we really need. People need to laugh more. People need to have more fun with these platforms. And millennials are here carrying the weight of that team right now. So you guys need to step it up. Just kidding. But we all need to start doing that because I think it really can help us connect in a lot of ways. So millennials don't really mind being cringy because they value authenticity. They want to embrace the irony. And you know, we've grown up in a culture where vulnerability is currency, perfection's overrated. When you're vulnerable, when you're open, when you're raw, when you're honest, that's when people connect to you, and that's when people feel really tied to you and your personal brand. So by limiting yourself to try to have this aesthetic feed of 3 Instagram posts that performed really well and you look super hot, you know, that's great. But if you're looking to grow a personal brand, you got to put yourself out there and you got to have fun with it. So this episode was a little bit different than I would say our normal content is, but if you can learn one thing from this episode, I hope that you take away that embracing the cringe can have a lot of growth opportunities. I have been cringy on social media, in many's opinion, for like 5 years now, and it's gotten me a lot of collaborations with brands. It has me putting myself out there on this podcast, and you know what? I'm choosing to spend my time on these apps to grow a personal brand, not to scroll and to watch other people live their life. And I think that's really important if you're looking to put yourself out there too. Well, I want to thank you all so much for tuning into this episode. Next week, we're talking about something very interesting and a little bit different too. I know we're kind of highlighting a lot of brands this season, and then we're also diving into different marketing and psychology. And I'm like just really loving thinking about that and learning about that. But next week's episode, we are going to talk about if you actually save money by shopping at Dollar General or dollar stores and how they use psychology to get you through the door. So I hope you enjoyed this episode all about cringe, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you shared it, maybe with a millennial friend yourself, or maybe this is just one you hit save and you keep in your back pocket, so that way you know next time when you're a little bit nervous to share something that it's okay to embrace the cringe. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll talk with you all next time. In the meantime, keep building a brand that sticks.